let's break down the 2021 tournament format. 22 teams will face off in 3 stages: play-ins, groups, and knockouts. Play-ins will feature 10 teams hungry to reach groups. The first seeded team from Brazil's CBLOL, Japan's LJL, Oceania's LCO, the Commonwealth of Independent States LCL, Latin America's LLA, and Turkey's TCL. The second seeded team from Southeast Asia's PCS, the third seeded team from North America's LCS, and the fourth seeded teams from China's LPL and Korea's LCK. These 10 teams will be randomly drawn into 2 groups of 5, and each team will play 1 game against every other team in their group. The top team in each group will advance to the group stage. Third and fourth place teams will play a best of 5, and winners will challenge the other group's second seed for the last 2 remaining positions. The group stage will bring 12 new competitors to the table. The top 3 seeded teams from Korea's LCK, China's LPL, and Europe's LEC. The top 2 seeded teams from North America's LCS, and the top seeded team from Southeast Asia's PCS, alongside the 4 play-in qualifiers. These 16 teams will be split into 4 groups, with each playing against every other team in their group twice. The top 2 teams in each group after that will advance to the knockout stage. The remaining 8 teams will compete in a best-of-5 single elimination bracket, progressing through quarterfinals and semifinals. At finals, the last 2 teams standing will play a best-of-5 series. The winner will be crowned the 2021 League of Legends World Champions.
To conduct the Worlds 2021 draw, I'd like to welcome 4-time LEC champion and Worlds 2019 finalist G2 Esports jungler Jankos to the stage.
Hello everyone. Super excited to be here. I'm very happy that I still got to be a part of Worlds, kinda.
You are. We're super happy to have you. I'm expecting some spicy draws from you, but let's see. Before we draw the 2 play-ins groups, we're going to run through the seedings. We have 10 teams that are divided into 2 pools. The Pool 1 seeds are LNG, Hanwha Life Esports, Cloud9, and Beyond Gaming. Pool 2 consists of the Red Canids, the Unicorns of Love, Detonation Focus Me, Infinity Esports, Peace, and Galatasaray Esports. We will draw these teams into 2 play-in groups, alternating assigning between Group A and Group B. With that said, we are starting with the Pool 1 seeds. So Jankos, please draw our first team to go into Group A.
Sure.
Hanwha Life Esports into Group A.
No one expected Hanwha Life to be here. After an extremely lackluster regular split, they made it into the regional gauntlet exclusively on their great spring performance. And as it turns out, that was all they needed. Dispatching relentlessly of Liv Sandbox and regular split highlight team Nongshim Red Force, even T1 was taken to 5 games in the final game of Gauntlet. With Chovy looking revitalized and Death playing the best league he has all year, who knows where Hanwha will end up as long as they can hold on to the top side of the map. And incredible.
You can go ahead and draw the next team from Pool 1 to go into Group B. The first team to go into Group B is Beyond Gaming.
In less than 12 months of their organization's creation, Beyond Gaming has achieved what every team strives for in making the World Championship. A lot of credit goes to Doggo, who fans should remember for his breakout performance at MSI with PSG Talon. After that, he returned to the PCS and turned into this lane-dominant force for Beyond Gaming. And with PCS's success earlier in the year at MSI, we're excited to see if Beyond Gaming can join PSG Talon and get 2 teams in the group stage at Worlds and capture some of that old PCS magic.
Go ahead and draw the next team from Pool 1 to slot into Group A. LNG into Group A.
The biggest underdogs of the year, led by the king of the jungle himself, finally makes it to Worlds. LNG will make their international debut after starting from the first round of LPL playoffs and playing 7 series back-to-back. All of this has been off the back of Tarzan, who's been the foundation of this team and the best jungler in LPL this split. With carry top laner Ale and high impact support Iwandi behind him, Tarzan and LNG are looking to live up to the other Dark Horse runs that LPL teams have been able to put up so many times in the past.
And now the final Pool 1 team, go ahead. Cloud9 into Group B.
No surprises, Steve. This is the fourth team drawn. Cloud9 made headlines this year, signing Perks as their mid laner, maybe the greatest Western League of Legends player of all time. But this team has been up and down. Obviously, Spring Split champions. MSI, they had some good results, they had some bad results. Perks has had some good games and some bad games. Fudge in the top lane, Vulcan at support, they have been consistent and outstanding. I need to see how the mid and jungle plays from Cloud9 to see if they are going to make a deep run at Worlds.
Time to draw the first team out of Pool 2 to join HLE and LNG in Group A. Go ahead. The first team is Infinity in Group A.
Infinity Esports are a team we saw not long ago at MSI. Sadly, it was a weak performance, only a single game won at play-ins against Detonation Focus Me with a support sub on the roster. They're hoping this time around, though, it's going to be a much better look for the squad here at Worlds. Back-to-back champions, obviously, we're looking largely at top lane. We're looking at Bugax and how much he can get done. They're going to play around him pretty aggressively. He's going to get the jungle attention. They're going to get Rift Heralds. It's about top lane.
Go ahead and draw the next team. The Unicorns of Love.
The Unicorns of Love will once again represent the CIS at Worlds. Since 2019, the Unicorns have represented the LCL at 3 international events, making this their 4th. UL have become a mainstay, and teams always showcase respect towards the organization as a team that you can't underestimate. However, at MSI, the team struggled, failing to get out of groups. With a new addition to the bot lane in Argonaut, the team is looking to make up for past failures and find success once more. The mainstay Nomans will be a player worth watching, as he's often difficult to ignore when on the international stage.
4 teams left. Go ahead and draw the next team for Group A. Peace going into Group A.
With measured aggression and an impressive playoffs run, Peace dominantly swept MSI fan-favorite representatives PandaNet GG in a 3-0 finals. A well-rounded team with international experience in Tally and Badib centered around their fresh bot laner Violet, they excel at early objective control through proactive roams and snowballing around their support. It has been a stellar year for OCE's individual players around the world. Can their region's representatives live up to the hype as well?
Go ahead and draw the next team, Jankos. Galatasaray in Group B.
This year's TCL representative is Galatasaray Esports. Galatasaray is one of the most successful organizations in Turkish football history. This is the first time we've seen them on the international stage. The roster consists of some familiar faces and new faces to this international stage. Bololu returns to Worlds after their defeat to the Unicorns last year and will be looking for revenge and another shot at the group stage. Turkey has not made it out of play-in since 2017. Can this roster be the game changer to bring them back to former glories?
Almost there. Go ahead and draw the next team for Group A, the final team in that group. Red Canids are the final team in Group A.
Red Canids from Brazil representing the CBLOL. This is an exciting team to look for. Top, jungle, and mid are all rookies. This is the team that got better and better over the course of the year, from a 6th place regular season finish to a 9-2 run through the playoffs to win the title. It's the first time we're seeing Red Canids since back in 2017 MSI, and it is spicy. Aegis in the jungle is incredibly dominant. This team is bloody, they get kills, and they've got some exciting fresh faces.
Go ahead and finish the draw with the last team. Detonation Focus Me slotting into Group B. It's upside down.
Detonation Focus Me is back. While they were unable to make it out of Group's MSI, they were still able to perform above expectations from the international community, grabbing a huge win over C9, with a substitute support nonetheless. Now with their full lineup, the LJL representatives created the strongest roster the region has available in terms of individual talent. And they won't be satisfied unless they are able to turn their wealth of experience and domestic skill into a group stage appearance.
We have our 2 groups for the play-ins, which will start on the 5th of October. We are going to take a minute to reset the stage here, and then we will draw the groups for the group stage.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to run down the line and I'm going to get your quick impressions of the groups and what stands out to you. So, Freak, starting off with you, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Group B is arguably the closest in skill of the groups. I've actually had pretty high hopes for all the teams in that one, where I think any one of them on the right draw could have that 3rd place finish and then go in and kind of fight across the side. So there's a thought here where I think because of that crossplay thing, Hanwha Life should be a little bit afraid of who they might fight out of this group.
Okay. Jordan, hit me.
I think Group A, the emerging region teams, got to be a bit afraid. But come on, we're all looking at Tarzan versus Chovy, LNG versus Hanwha Life. I do think LNG is more rounded, so probably our favorites. But we've all seen Chovy pull off some miracles before.
All right, finally, Chronicler, you've got 20 seconds. Hit me.
It's Tarzan Chovy. It's Tarzan Chovy. Like, I don't know what to tell you. That is a matchup that everyone should be excited for. Can't wait to see those guys face off against one another.
It's certainly going to be an interesting one. I cannot wait for the play-ins draw, but very quickly we are going to be jumping into the primary group draw. So without further ado, and a last look at the play-ins draw, let's go back to Shox on stage.
Welcome back, everyone, to the draw. It is time for the group draw. And in the group draw, the Pool 1 seeds contain the top seeds of the LPL, the LEC, the LCK, and the PCS. Pool 2 contains the top seed of the LCS and the second seed from the LPL, the LEC, and the LCK. And Pool 3 contains the second seed of the LCS with the third seed of the LEC, LCK, and LPL. We will draw from Pool 1 first, assigning each drawn team in order to groups A, B, C, and then D. In the case that teams are drawn into a group that already has a representative from their region, that will be invalid, and then they will move on. While drawing from Pool 2 and 3, if a team is drawn for a group that already contains a representative from their region, or in the event that the draw could cause future invalid draws, they will instead be added to the next group in which they are eligible for. We are going to start with the Pool 1 seeds. So Jankos, go ahead and draw the first team to go into Group A. Damwon Kia into Group A.
After a rough loss to RNG at MSI, it took a long time before Damwon Kia resembled that World Championship form. In a split marked for the team by lane swaps, off-meta drafts, and individual underperformance, it wasn't until the final weeks of playoffs that the team really started to get back to form. However, during playoffs, we saw the re-emergence of one of the best teams in the world yet again, with refound diversity in draft, and Barrel in particular returning to form. Having gone through a transformative year and hungry after their MSI loss, the world champions are looking ready and poised to defend their title.
Next up, the first team to go into Group B. Go ahead. EDG into Group B.
EDG is the most domestically dominant organization in the history of the LPL. And after 3 years of not making Worlds, 2021 is finally the year they're able to add to that legacy again. EDG's big difference maker has to be Viper, who uses dominant laning phase and immaculate team fighting to join veterans Scout and Mako to bring EDG another championship. As the current LPL champions, EDG are one of the favorites for taking home the Summoners Cup and adding their name to the history books. EDG coming in as one of the strong favorites.
Next up, the next Pool 1 seed to go into Group C. Go ahead. PSG into Group C.
The Kings of the PCS return to the international stage after putting their region back on the map with a top 4 finish at MSI. PSG have the most decorated player in the region's history, and Maple guiding the team to a high-tempo, high-kill play style that can catch anyone off guard. Now with Unified back on the roster, PSG are at full power, and this team is looking to bring the same spirit from their last international appearance to make it past groups once again.
Go ahead and draw the final team out of Pool 1. The Mad Lions go into Group D.
The first seed from Europe, Mad Lions, will be looking to change the narrative coming into this year's Worlds. Last year, this org was the first European organization ever to not qualify from the play-in stage. Coming into 2020, they have done nothing but dominate. Back-to-back LEC titles, a semi-final at MSI versus world champions Damwon that went to all 5 games, and now a representative as Europe's best. The pressure is high for these young players as over the last 3 years, semi-finals appearance for Europe's first seed is the expectation. Can Humanoid, the newly acclaimed best mid in EU, lead his team to success, or will they crumble under the pressure?
Let's start with Pool 2. Go ahead and draw the first team, Jankos. FPX.
2019 World Champions FunPlus Phoenix are back to reclaim their title. Since adding Nuggery to the roster, FPX have been on an absolute rampage this year with an extremely aggressive, skirmish-heavy playstyle, leading them to back-to-back LPL finals in 2021. All of this off the back of Dwinby having the best season of his career and picking up yet another Summer Split MVP award. With 5 former world champions on this roster, anything less than a second world title for FPX will be a disappointment. With their current form, it's very easy to believe in the Phoenix.
FPX goes into Group A. Time for the next team out of Pool 2. Hundred Thieves.
100 Thieves won their first ever LCS title after making the finals back in their first ever LCS split, and that vengeance against TL was sweet. This is an exciting roster. To me, there's 3 headliners here. Closer in the jungle is truly outstanding. He and Abadaga pair up and they play around the bot lane incredibly well. FBI and Huhi, you might remember him from an MSI final as a mid laner. He is an outstanding support player now. That bot lane duo is amazing. They get help and they convert on those leads. This is an exciting team. They're very good.
100 Thieves confirmed in Group B together with EDG. Draw the next team, please, Jankos. Fnatic.
Fnatic will be Europe's 2nd seed this year. No stranger to the international stage, this will be Fnatic's 9th appearance at the World Championship. What's even crazier is that in those 8 appearances, Fnatic has made it out of groups 7 times. Week 2 Fnatic is something that every European fan will have heard of and looks forward to, as the organization looks to continue their incredible international legacy. However, with a brand new roster, many are still trepidatious. Whippo role swapping to jungle, a rookie top laner with Adam, can they really compete with the best? Only time will tell.
Fnatic lands in Group C. Go ahead, Jankos, for the last team out of Pool 2. Gen G.
Recent times have not been kind to Gen G. The last week of summer, they looked deflated and unable to maintain their often terrifying regular split form. And unlike spring, where they were still able to take a decisive victory over T1 and reach the finals, they went out unceremoniously. It has now been a good amount of time since we have seen Gen G, and knowing the depth of experience and skill on this team, I expect them to look revitalized and show us a convincing performance during the group stage. The underestimated Gen G is the most dangerous.
Gen G lands in Group D. That means it's time for the Pool 3 teams, Jankos. Go ahead. Rogue.
The third and final seed for Europe this year is Rogue. Last year, Rogue was seeded into a difficult group, and while expectations were low, many did not expect them to finish last in their group. Coming into 2021, Rogue looked dominant during the regular season and were expected to make back-to-back finals. However, the organization continued to fall short. After losing 3-0 to Fnatic in the semi-finals, expectations once again looked to be low once more as European fans turn their attention to the other two seeds. Regardless, the team looks to change the narrative and turn heads at this year's Worlds, with Hansama and Inspired being players to watch.
Rogue lands in Group A with FPX and Damwon Kia. Go ahead and draw the next team, Jankos. RNG.
The reigning MSI champions come into Worlds with a lot to prove. After Xiaohu's crazy role swap in spring led them to an LPL title and an MSI championship, RNG failed to defend their LPL crown in summer. But in the regional qualifier, they bounced back with a dominating performance, and they're still coming into Worlds as one of the biggest teams to fear. With Ming playing heavily around top lane star Xiaohu, we're gonna see if these two-time MSI champions will be able to lead RNG to their very first World Championship victory and continue with RNG being the most successful LPL team internationally.
As RNG would be joining a group that already has an LPL representative in Group B, they move on to Group C. Go ahead, Jankos. 2 teams left. Doing great. Team Liquid.
Team Liquid is a team that many thought would win the LCS title this time around. However, only second place. That said, their road to victory can still exist here. Alfari was the big pickup on the roster. He is an outstanding top laner, especially in the early to mid game. The man demands resources, and boy does he spend them well. He is record-shatteringly lane dominant in the LCS and in his old career in the LEC as well. Look out for Liquid to play around top lane, to play around Alfari, and to get him to take over the map from there.
TL lands in Group D because there was already an LCS representative in Group B, leaving us with the last team to be drawn. Go ahead, Jankos. T1.
The greatest player of all time is back at Worlds. Faker, flanked by some of the best individual talent we have in the LCK, has made his way back. Despite being the LCK's 3rd seed, they have shown incredible highs when the early game goes according to plan. They are able to snowball the entirety of the map, rallied around their star mid lane and bolstered by their oppressive bot lanes. If they can avoid some of the inconsistencies and draft result during the regular split, will we possibly see Faker hold another trophy?
T1 lands in Group B, and that concludes the group draw. Thank you so much, Jankos. Phenomenal job.
Thank you.
And the group stage will start on the 11th of October with 8 teams advancing to the quarterfinals. Thank you so much for joining us for the draw show, and we'll see you in Iceland.
Whew. Okay, so there will be more discussion as the show continues. That does wrap up the group draw. Loved watching Jankos' expressions throughout the entire thing. But gentlemen, I'm going to quickly get your quick thoughts once again. You can take a little bit more time if you want. But Freak, what is the first thing that stands out to you?
The first thing that stands out was Jankos' face was the opposite of my face when he drew Rogue. I knew after the first 2 sets, like either Rogue or TL is going into that Group A with Fun Plus Phoenix down 1. And when he just deflated, I was just cackling. Like, I wasn't loud just in case the mics weren't muted, but I was like, I did it! It's Rogue and not TL. And then I realized it's still T1 and EDG, and it's not any better.
Okay. Lyric, hit me. What were your first thoughts? What hit you seeing the group's draw?
You know, everyone's going to talk about Damwon versus VX, Nuggery against Damwon, all that stuff, but I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to come out for Freak and say, I'm looking at that Group D and saying, I think Team Liquid can get out of it. You're up against Genji, I think a very beatable team for the LCS, and LCS is feeling good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think overall, we're happy with the group draw.
Okay. Chronicler, what are your thoughts? What are you thinking here? Are you stressed for Genji?
Well, no, I don't know where this sentiment comes from, that it's going to be easy beatings for the LCS. I feel like this happens whenever Genji doesn't have the greatest of times, and then they bounce back. I'm very excited to see Core JJ and Ruler face off. I'm actually excited for Group B. I think that EDG taking on T1, regardless of like outcome, is just such a cool matchup between 2 incredibly storied orgs. And having them face up with Worlds makes it even better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if we actually go back through history, EDG and T1 have been in the same group so many times before. There is a lot of history in front of us. I definitely felt bad for Rogue. In the thing that I wrote for them, I was sitting there saying, they got a hard group last year. They basically had the same one this year. So it's definitely going to be a tough one for them. But we're going to talk a lot more about the groups in a quick second. But for now, we have to have a quick break. So we'll give you all the takeaways in just a few minutes right after this short break. So make sure you don't go anywhere, because there's going to be a lot more discussion, a lot more banter, and a lot more fun coming your way in just a bit.